Swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew and a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Blitz, Bama, Blitz.
Welcome, everyone, to a very special edition of the Weekly Joe podcast. It's College World Series time. We're going to talk about your super regional champion, Alabama Crimson Tide, on their way to Omaha for the first time since 1999 after a resounding weekend into Monday series sweep of the St. John's Red Storm, as I'm told. I've got with me tonight, I'm Paul Graham, by the way, your host. We got Roger Myers with us tonight, Drew Champlin, a skeleton crew tonight, but we got a lot to cover. With three of us, we can probably hit rapid fire this stuff a lot quicker and get through a lot as we discuss Alabama's historic season already. If it ended today, it'd be pretty historic, but a lot of baseball still left to play. As the Tide now heads to Omaha, they'll board a flight tomorrow morning, get in, I guess, 3 days work or so out there, and then get ready for the SEC Invitational, as the right side of the bracket is shaped up to be, with Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, Texas on one side, Ole Miss, the lone SEC team, on the other side, as they get to get through the easy part of this, apparently, with Carolina, Troy, and West Virginia, but nothing's easy this time of year. Guys, the scene this weekend, the environment at the Joe, Roger, it's why you tear down your stadium and rebuild it. It's why you try to create a student environment. It's why you invest in baseball. It's why you invest in things like your social media team, your promotional team, and get the best people to do it. Anything like that at the Joe in recent memory, or even not so recent memory in your view?
I mean, of course, we were all there for 2023, and that was close, but it wasn't this. The extra standing room only, the extra in the right field area. They put out all stops and really did a nice job with it. If you go back, in the 90s and say the 2016, but the stadium wasn't anything like it is now, like capacity wise or any of that. I mean, there was great crowds, it was filled it up. And then you had the right field area that was outside of the stadium with a little hill where people would set up and grill and do all that stuff, which is really cool. Wish we had an area like that, maybe that left field playground that I've been trying to bulldoze. We could do something like that out there, because I think after this run, we're going to probably feel like we need to do some sprucing up and do on Tuesday at 3:00, we're not going to have overflow crowds like that, or 4:00, whatever time we've been playing those games.
Right.
And even on midweek, but I mean, we've shown this year SEC weekends and even preseason weekends that we can put a lot of people in there. And this is, this run is going to not do anything but increase the interest, increase donations, increase wants for tickets. So, and hopefully continue building like Rob and his staff are.
Yeah. So many moments, Drew, over the weekend. I mean, I call them, the raise the hair on your, make the hair on your arm stand up type of moments. Tyler's last exit, I call Tyler Faye's last exit, just an incredible moment and a classy move by JJ. We kind of saw it coming, I think, with the way that inning shaped up. Zane got the same treatment walking off in the I guess that was the 7th on Sunday. Jason Torres's grand slam, as the crowd rose up in anticipation of something big happening and almost willed it to happen. The Joe jump on Monday at the end. I mean, I didn't make it down Monday, morning, but the guys jumping up in the crowd and just the dog pile, the celebration. Drew, you kind of feel like is like like Coach Saban said after that first championship in '09, this is only the beginning. It was like he was ready to get back to work. You feel like it is something you can build on.
Yeah, I don't think these guys are looking at this as just making the World Series as house money. I think it's going to be the toughest by far side of the bracket. But I think it's I kind of we've done a lot of past teams comps, and it's changed over the course of the season as the team has evolved over the course of the season. Now it kind of reminds me of the 90, I believe it was 96 World Series
Six.
team, Jim
Yeah.
Wells' first one. Didn't you look at the lineups, and we had a couple really good starting pitchers, and Cole Grove and Tim Young, if I recall. There wasn't a whole lot of power throughout the lineup, but there were a lot of guys that probably hit 8, 10 or whatever, kind of like this
Mhm.
one. But man, my favorite part really was kind of early that first inning Friday when Faye struck out the side. I mean, that place was lit. We were under the lights. That's the only time I'll ever like be happy we're playing a game at 8 o'clock because it's a Saturday night, But that Friday night, the only thing that was missing was a home run. But man, Saturday with Jason Torres stepping up and hitting the grand slam, that was when you just kind of knew it was for sure going to happen on that day. Of course, we had to wait overnight, but just a fantastic weekend for this program.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I've got to think about this on the back end of it. We kidded a lot, particularly like taking digs at the Auburn fans about how blessed and favored we were with the way our schedule set up. And you keep seeing these graphics. We had the easiest run through Omaha. And I mean, you took care of your own business. I mean, that's the way seeding works, right? If somebody gets knocked out above you, who whoever got whoever got to play Maryland, Baltimore County after the 16 beat Virginia that year, they probably felt pretty fortunate themselves. Any disappointment or kind of feel like it was a little less satisfying, Roger, just because of who we played over the last 5 games, 4 or 5 games?
No,
No,
just beat who's in front of you.
no. I was rooting for a Northern Illinois St. John's regional final in Tallahassee. It's been so long. We got North Carolina in '06, and they were best or second best team in the country that year. I think we were due one, and I think a good thing to do would be to go on social media and complain about how our side of the brackets, how it's so unfair. We got Georgia and Texas on ours, and see what Auburn fans have to say about that.
Yeah, maybe a little karma for the rest of the country that we got the 16 seed in 2023 when realistically we probably should have been a 11, 12 seed and not having to go to Wake Forest. I mean, you might have been making a trip to Omaha that year if you hadn't, had
Oh
to
yeah.
go play what was probably the best team in the country that year. So a little karma there, maybe, Roger.
Yes, definitely. And we all know how that happened. One of the good reasons why that happened too.
Yeah. And by the way, the reason that happened is on social media today bitching because his golf coach isn't the national coach of the year.
We promised we wouldn't say who it was, but it's Auburn athletic director John Cohen. He was the chair of the selection committee. So just like Greg Burns sent Auburn basketball out to Seattle to lose to Yale a few years ago, John Cohen gave us the 16 overall seed instead of 12 or
Play
13 or
Wake
whatever.
Forest is a little different than sending them to play Yale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, something I thought about too is as these things are shaping up, you're watching some of these other regionals. Ole Miss goes to Auburn. And it's just a tough weekend series. You got arms all over the place. That Southern Cal UNC series, we talked about that a little bit last week. I actually kind of went on a limb, picked Southern Cal, and I mean, I was that close, right? That was a dogfight. A lot of these were just 2-game sweeps, obviously, but they were still really tough games. Georgia, Mississippi State was, a classic. Any concern that the team's guard might be a little down, if you want to call it that, because your last 5 games have been Alabama State, UC Upstate, an Oklahoma State team that was playing the second game of the day, and then St. John's twice. I mean, any concern that, the SEC season prepares you for this? I mean, every weekend is a war, but you've been a few weeks since you've had one of those types of weekends. Any concern about that?
I don't think so. I think it may have just given them more confidence, and I mean they know what they have in facing all these teams. I mean, first 2 games we're going to be playing SEC opponents. Obviously Oklahoma had to shoot, and then win or lose, it's going to be Georgia or Texas. So, I mean, that maybe what you're saying is like playing a lesser opponent
Yeah.
made you not be ready. But
Right.
I think I mean, I don't, if you're not ready for Omaha, I mean, you're not a competitor, I mean, and, they know, hopefully they can flip this. I don't think they overlooked anybody,
No.
either regional or super regional, because, I mean, we've seen that happen and what
Yeah.
happened, some losses that we shouldn't have had.
Uh,
So
yeah.
I
Thought,
think, you play your best no matter who you're playing, follow the process.
right. Yeah, Drew, thoughts on that? Concerns about it at all?
No, you think about it. I mean, the Oklahoma State was a dogfight, if you remember that one,
Mm,
obviously. This one, you kind of, St. John's came in and competed well. It's not like we just beat the brakes off them. I mean, Friday, we won 8-0, but it was more of a kind of grind out, Holt had a big 2-run double. I think we walked in a couple runs, and Fowler had I believe, a 2-run double. But yeah, and then Saturday or game two, Evan Chafee, the former Alabama pitcher, pitched pretty well 6 innings. I think he gave up 3 runs, and then we got the 4 and the 7. So we're battle tested, and if you're worried about over or not being ready, you got to just turn on Oklahoma's last few innings of their last 2 games when they beat number 2 seed Georgia Tech in that regional,
mhm.
and then probably I didn't watch any of their games against Kansas, but they just lit them up pretty
Oh,
good.
they
So
did. Yeah.
they're coming in hot. We're going to see different pitchers than we saw. I believe. I think they're
Hmm.
uh, Rager is their maybe.
Yeah. Cord Rager. Yes.
Yeah, so we got a Roger on our podcast. We faced a Ruger at Texas, and I guess we
Yeah.
get a Rager
And a Rager.
here. And so they might throw Xander Marcurius, who shut us down. So
Yeah.
they're coming in with a lot of confidence. I think we are too, but they've
Hmm.
really been swinging the bat well. So it's going to
Yeah.
be totally different than I think what we saw in Norman
Uh-huh.
eight,
Yeah.
9 weeks ago.
For me, the concern is, I think I kind of summed it up or totaled it up here earlier. I mean, I guess over the last 2 weekends at 5 games, we've essentially played. Let me find my number. Let's just say it's 40, 5 games. So call it 40, 45. I think it's more like 47 innings of offensive baseball because the one game went the extras. Um, Probably the only what I would call SEC caliber arm that we might have saw was the was Ethan Lund, the lefty for OSU. I mean, the only guy I really saw out there that I'm like, hey, that's a weekend starter and on an SEC
Yeah,
club.
and we
We saw
didn't
some
do.
arm, and we saw some good, and I mean, we talked about it a little bit too. I mean, Evan Chafee to me looked like he could have been a pretty good piece of our staff. I mean, that was not a bad pitch game. Lund threw 4.2 of those innings against us. We it was 47 innings for us over these 5 games, and so it's really the only SEC caliber arm we're used to seeing. That concerns me a little bit that you're jumping right back into the fire. But maybe it helped you get a little confidence. You weren't a great offensive club. You did things very workmanlike the last couple of weekends, but it was very typical Alabama. I mean, I think if you look at these games, in particular the St. John's weekend, Saturday we win this 8-0. Like you mentioned, Drew, Holt gets the double. We get 2 in the fourth. We 3 innings in, we were just kind of sleepwalking through the order on the offense, though. In the fourth, we get 4 in the sixth. Fowler gets a double. We had 2 walks that drove in runs on bases loaded walls. We get 2 in the eighth on a LeBron double. He just smoked out in that right center gap.
Oh yeah.
Faye throws his typical 7+ inning, and we went 7 1/3, strikes out 9, walks 3. I think we walked 4 guys that night. That was all we walked all weekend. Got a lot of ground outs, which is what you want from Faye when he starts, as Rob's talked about a lot, and JJ, when he elevates a little bit, the ball can get airborne, and it's the time of year when the ball's going to fly. Although the park's going to be a lot bigger where we're going. 8 ground outs to 5 flyouts on Sunday into Monday. We win that one 7-2, but same thing. We get 2 in the third. Steele and Steele gets an RBI. Neal drives one in on a ground down the infield. Vaughn drives one in the fourth on the sac bunt, and then you get the big hit from Torres in the seventh. That was that got you 4. So again, you play 18 innings. I guess you technically batted 17 of those. You scored in 6 of them. Still a lot of zeros up there. That's a little concerning to me that we didn't just get out, blow the doors off the team very consistently offensively. Um, but you go back to it again on the second night. Had Adams 6 and a third, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, didn't walk anyone, struck out 8, got a lot of ground balls, 8 ground balls, and we played plus defense. I mean, it was really the defense contributed positively on this night, and then Heiberger was just lights out, kind of closing it out over the 2 days. The lineup didn't just jump out at you, but you got enough from different contributors, Roger, that is all you really needed on this particular weekend.
Yeah, up and down. I mean, nobody just like you said, nobody went 8 for 12 or anything, or
No, right.
3 hits. Fowler had 3. Holt had 3. Eric had a big home run. I mean, just Torres had a double in the home run, after nothing in the first game. So, yeah, it just spreading the wealth a little bit. But the bottom, like, still helped us out. Beating that, legging out a hit, walking a couple of times. Brady, did stuff when he needed to, and we were better about driving runners in scoring position. Even if it was a ground ball or whatever, whatever we needed to do it. So
just productive at bats, right.
And just bash 15 hits, 1 hit after another, double, home run, but just did it more when we needed to. So none bigger than that grand slam, which I mean, that's one of the most electric moments in that stadium since it's been there.
Yeah. Drew, think about moments in that stadium. I mean, in the last, I think you probably have to narrow it down to really the last, say, 3 or 4, probably 2023, and then the last, couple of years. I mean, the biggest moment at the Joe, the grand slam there.
Yeah. But man, that Brady Neal home run last week, I mean, that was pretty electric. I mean, that was something. I think also maybe when we played Troy in that second game, and then Tommy Seidel reached on the error, and that just basically just opened up the floodgates, because that was just so shocking. But yeah, I mean, but like when you described all that earlier, I mean, that's basically what we've done all year. We haven't really hit all that great, but we grind out at bats. And I think the biggest difference this year, and one of the players may have alluded to this, we're getting the big hits, but it's those big 3-run home runs and grand slams. I didn't calculate all these up, but you think about the Hines 3-run homer against Vanderbilt that got us back in that game. We've had the Brady Neal's grand slam, the 2 that we just talked about, Eric Hines home run and 3-run homer in Tennessee. There's been a lot of 3-run home runs and grand slams in like the 6th inning and beyond, especially in SEC season. So that's been a big plus for our team this year.
Yeah, and definitely will be the sort of thing we're going to have to rely upon in Omaha. It's a much bigger park, right? I mean, the Georgias and teams like that play in these very hitter-friendly parks are going to have to, adjust a little bit to it. By the same token, your defense has got to cover a lot more ground out there. A Bryce Fowler's got to have a little more range on the giddy up between left and right, where the guys maybe don't have the same range. So
that's my biggest concern is outfield defense, because the dimensions are the same as Hoover. Brady Neal can't play in the outfield. He didn't have the best outfield game, but because Johnny Lynn's broken finger. But so you got Hines, and he's still kind of learning the position, and Fowler's obviously very good out there, and Steele's gotten a lot better out there. So those are the kind of 3 we have to roll with, and you just got to hope that, I don't know, like Georgia still hit a few home runs in Hoover. But I think that was like the heat and maybe the way the wind was going. I don't know that balls go out as much at TD Ameritrade like they do in Hoover. So it'll be interesting. I mean, they just got guys who can mash all lineups. So that I don't really think it matters. They have shown that it does not really matter where they are.
They hit them anywhere. Right.
Our team just has to manufacture runs and play clean defense if we want to advance.
Yeah. And Roger, and pitch. I mean, you got to pitch. You got to get starts like you got Saturday and Sunday from our guys, right?
Yes, I mean this team has had to have that all season, and it's what they've hung their hat on, really. I mean, we know we won all those one-run games, and a lot of close games, a lot of low-scoring games, and the they have to go minimum of six, and seven or get into the seventh is just extra bonus to get it to Crowther and Maddie and Banks to figure out how to close out all the games with those three. But at some point, if we make any progress at all, we're gonna have to see some more arms. So it'll be interesting to see, how they feel about who that is right now, it's gonna be based off of bullpens and if they threw to live batters any during some practices, because we sure hadn't seen them on the mound. Stack a little bit. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we're hearing you. Yeah.
Okay. Stack's thrown a little bit, but you figure JT, Blackwood, and Bobby Alcock going to have to be in there somewhere. Austin Morris. Um, just if we keep winning, keep going, they're the six guys you're using are going to need some help.
It's right. One good thing, I think one benefit we get, we have a freshman starter. We didn't see him last weekend. We didn't see him the weekend of the SEC tournament. So, he's gone 1, 2, 3 weekends that he's only had one start. That's Miles Upchurch, who, by the way, was a freshman All-American. I think we saw that pop up today. So congratulations to Miles, and obviously bright future. And you're probably going to see him a couple of days earlier next year when we roll this team out for 27. Drew, there's always the they call it the freshman wall. I mean, you hear about a lot in basketball, I think, because the grind, the games are longer and the season is so much longer than, say, high school. Baseball, you just don't see a lot of starting pitchers as freshmen, but Miles maybe felt like got a little stronger as the season went on, but maybe you think this might have helped him. Whatever start he finally gets, whether it's in the trying to clinch a spot in the final or trying to pull us back out of a loser bracket position. Hopefully, if we don't lose two, maybe a rested Miles is maybe gonna be a stronger Miles.
Yeah, and what I wonder about Miles is, the way the bracket sets up. I mean, I kind of feel like he's got to be ready in the pen in game one. I don't know,
Okay.
whatever, because you play Saturday and then you play Monday, and
Monday.
if you win Monday, you don't play again until Wednesday. I think they used to have it spread out like a day or
Yeah.
two more. I miss it when it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. When they're doing Saturday, Sunday, Monday for the finals, you don't get as good of ratings, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, guys are gonna have to step up, especially if we lose a game. But I would think, having Miles available for an inning or two in the pen if we need him on Saturday would certainly has to be in the cards based on the way the tournament is.
Yeah. And Roger, you touched on a little bit, but the bullpen concern you that you've basically been rolling out three guys out of your three starters, hoping for 6 or 7 innings, and you've tried to get those other 8 or 9 out of only three guys. Concern you a little bit?
A little bit, as you go forward. I mean, few days in between, it's probably going to help. Like, maybe able to, as long as the starters keep going 7 or 6 plus 7 up into 8, they can kind of piece it together with what they have. But still, somebody's going to have to help at some point for us to make any kind of deep run for sure.
Okay. All right. Let's transition into just some discussion, kind of season in perspective. If it ended today, all right, we're 42-19 overall. We got 18-12 record in the SEC. Obviously, got more SEC games to come. At least probably at least 2, potentially 3 or 3, 4, 5, maybe. And not to mention we lost the one in the SEC tournament. We're 23-6 at home. A great year at the Joe. We lost half of those on one weekend, which was kind of bizarre and still a little bit of a head scratcher. We're 9-2 at neutral sites, which is where we're going the rest of the year. So that's pretty favorable, I figure. Are you satisfied? Would you take it and just call it a season, or do you feel like there's more to come here? Are we likely to make noise in Omaha, Drew? Given that other teams, it's not like you're going in and there are teams there that have been there a couple of years straight, and this is kind of their like lifetime achievement. They're gonna, you're gonna crown somebody. North Carolina's the only one that's been there, right? You feel like it gives you a better opportunity to make noise.
Yeah, me personally, if we go two and barbecue or whatever, I mean, I'll still be happy. Based on, I mean, I'm very thrilled with the way the season's gone. I'm getting to go to Omaha for the first time in my life. I'm 44 years old, so I don't want to see us go 0-2. I want to see us win
Two
it.
and
And
two.
you don't want to see your last game have. I don't want to see us have a game where we have 4 or 5 errors in the last 3 innings and lose. But that's that has happened a few times this year with this team. But man, I think it's been a great season. I think there's really when I look at it, it kind of looks to me like Georgia and Texas are your two best teams, and they play each other in the first game. Last year, I thought
Right.
that was that way with LSU and Arkansas. Uh, but it, anything can happen in baseball. It's not like the best team just runs away with it like they do in football and basketball. You got to pitch, get timely hitting, and play really good defense to advance. And then I kind of think these games are going to be basically like they are. They have been all year. Someone's going to win 5-3, and hopefully it's us.
Mhm. Yeah. I'd give you this, and Roger, I'll throw this at you after I recap all this. Let's talk about the other 7 getting here. Georgia, absolute war with Mississippi State, back and forth games, big offensive, high scoring, and they pull both of those out, and they beat State 6 times. They went 6-11 against State on the season. So really, really a lot of battles. I mean, probably took a lot out of them last weekend. OU had to go on the road twice, had to come out of the loser bracket and beat Georgia Tech twice. Georgia Tech, who many of us probably going into this thing thought might have the best team, and a chance to win this tournament we're about to get into. And then they just, they boat race Kansas in the Super, but had to go on the road twice. Troy, while they kind of walked through last weekend, they had to beat Florida down at Florida in Gainesville on 2 days in a row. And those guys can pitch. UNC, again, I talked about the Southern Cal series and how that was probably the best series of the weekend. Texas kind of cruised through both. Oregon was pretty tough on them game 2, but I mean they cruised through the weekend before. And then Ole Miss, same deal, is a 2 seed, so they go on the road twice. Take care of Nebraska, who was overrated. Take care of Auburn, who's overrated. Auburn, who, I mean, again, one of the best pitching staffs in the country, but so were they. And oh, by the way, we didn't even see Townsend last weekend, right?
Yeah.
Their best guy is probably top 25, 30 pick in the draft. And then West Virginia had a tough regional with Kentucky, but cruised over Cal Poly. A lot of pretty battle tested teams coming into this. We're there. We got there. Hey, we're there. It doesn't diminish the accomplishment, but maybe you're a little less maybe less emotionally drained from all this. Is that maybe play to Alabama's advantage, Roger?
It can go either way. I mean, Georgia just has an absolute war. So does that drain them, or does that just give them even more confidence? Not that they need confidence. I mean, they're as confident a bunch as you can find. Um, so West Virginia, just with that atmosphere and playing a lesser opponent, they just kind of rolled, and they're kind of like one of those team of destiny kind of looks to them right now. Oklahoma, like you said, had to go on the road a couple of times. They weren't that good middle of the year, beginning of the year. They weren't all that good, and they just kind of they're 11th place team in the SEC, and here they are. But they really started hitting. The French Canadian catcher, when we were there, he had 0 home runs. And I think he has
It's like 14.
15 now. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Little preview. I'll preview Oklahoma. Go ahead, Drew. You're about to jump in. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was about to say his name is Dayton. It's spelled LaChance, but I wonder if it's really like LaChance or something like that. But yeah, he had 0, and we played them week 3, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They lost to LSU in the first round of the SEC tournament. I don't think they won, but maybe 3 SEC series all year.
I was going to say here. So here's the breakdown of them. They're 38-22. They went 14-16 in the conference. So again, I mean, they were one game away from maybe not even getting a bid, although the RPI might have helped them. They're 8-2 in neutral site games. They played a couple of weekends in Texas early in the year. I think they played one of their series. Maybe it
And
was Texas, some was in Oklahoma City, and that
they
ended up
did.
neutral. All right, so they come in with a 5-game win streak, obviously having won twice this weekend, and then the last 3 of the Georgia Tech series, including 2 over Tech. You talk about series wins. They lost 2 out of 3 in each of their last 4 SEC series. So they went 4 weekends in a row, losing 2 out of 3. So they kind of limped to the finish, losing 2 out of 3 every weekend for 4 weeks. They had swept Missouri right before that. They had won 2 out of 3 from Vandy right before that. Then, like you said, they lost LSU in the SEC tournament. So again, you do what, 2-1. There were 4-8. They're 4-9 in their last 13 SEC games before all this started up. So yeah, I mean, it definitely got their act together here in the last couple of weekends, but certainly kind of limped to the finish. When we played them early in the year, I'll recap those games very quickly for everyone because obviously we faced them 3 times. We took 2 out of 3 there in Norman. We won 10-7 on the first night. If you recall, we jumped a big lead. We had 10-1 lead after 2, ball flying out of the park. I think Bryce Fowler hit home runs and maybe both his first 2 at bats that night. We chased LJ. Yep, yep. We chased LJ Mercurius, and then his brother Xander came in and threw 6 innings, and it was pretty.
We got nothing.
Didn't we get a Torres? Didn't Jason Torres homer on his first pitch off
Yeah,
of Xander?
yeah.
And I
And then
think
after that,
Osterhouse might have hit one after him, and
he
then we
did.
just didn't
Yeah,
touch him.
yeah. We
So
hit
it
4
was
that night. Yep.
crazy game.
We let them close, made that game tight toward the end. Faith did a pretty good game, and then the bullpen gave up a little bit of junk there at the end, but a 10-7 win. The Saturday, I'm assuming this was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. The Saturday game, or the second game, was kind of one of those Alabama midseason offensive, trying to find your identity games. And we really got shut down by Cameron Johnson, who everybody thought was probably their best arm all along. The bottom half of the order was really bad that day. Bryce had 3 hits, Torres had 2, Zane gave up 4 earned runs through 5 innings. But it was just enough. We weren't going to eke out anything else that day. Just that was in that mode of kind of around the time of that Texas series where we struck out so much. But we just couldn't get the offense together. And then we couldn't really get the offense together on the third game of the series on Sunday. But we won 3-2, got 3 runs in the first, really all on either defensive or catching or pitching miscues. It was like a
Pass
wild
balls
pitch,
and
pass
wild
ball.
pitches. Yeah.
Yeah. So we get 3, and then we get nothing the rest of the way. And if you'll recall, kind of out of character for our pitching staff. Miles had control issues that day, got chased after 3 innings. Pitch count got up a little bit, got into a long inning.
He also he got hit on the ankle
And hit, yes.
as well during all that.
Yeah.
No, he didn't get hit. He
He
turned it on
turned
the turf
it.
mound.
Turn it. Yeah.
Turf
Turned it
mound.
Yeah.
covered on the turf field. Yeah. But he walked 5 guys. He only went 3 innings. That was kind of the game, in my opinion, when you look back at what happened. I mean, and I recalled it, kind of read back to the box scores. We went Crowther, Heiberger, Banks, and all 3 of those got shoved over the last 6 innings of that game. And that was when you kind of had, okay, this is probably as we're going to shape up to get ready for this next, middle and end run of this season. That was when you kind of realized who your guys in that bullpen were really going to be. But we won that game 3-2. And, again, so we take 2 out of 3 on the road at OU. A lot different team. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you talked about it a little bit, Drew. You feel like they're hitting a little better. Some guys have emerged. The pitching staff's kind of changed up a little bit. You feel like it's that much different of a team.
Yeah, I'm sure they have a lot more confidence than they did when we played them. I know I watched the end of the Georgia Tech game, and they just kept getting clutch hit after clutch hit. This was game 5, and then Dayton Taki, who hit that 450-foot blast to walk it off. He had a couple home runs against us last year in the series, and then he got off to a slow start this year. He might have gotten, I don't think he barely played in that series
Mhm.
against us. I don't think he started any of them. Maybe he got a pinch hit, but uh, he's come around lately. Their shortstop Willits, who is Jackson Willits, I believe, and Eli Willits, his brother, was just the first pick overall last year. So Reggie Willits, the former major leaguer, um, he's one of their coaches. Todd Butler, who coached at Alabama a couple different times. He's one of their coaches. So yeah, they're gonna. I think they're playing a lot better ball. I think they're, and I haven't watched them as much the last few weeks of the season, but pitching's looking a little different. I think, and want to say I read where they had the highest velocity, average velocity among pitchers in the men's college World Series, and we struggled against their pen a good bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how this game shapes out.
Mhm. Roger, you were there for those 3 games. Thoughts on that series and what this might look like a
I
few
th-
hours over in a different state this
yeah,
coming
it
weekend?
seems like they do seem like they're playing a lot better right now, even though they struggle down the stretch of the SEC. I think, like Drew said, their confidence is probably a lot better, and they seems like the last 2 games in the was it in the Super, they started 2 freshman pitchers,
Mhm.
and when pitches, and if he throws strikes, you're done. But he doesn't often throw strikes. But when he beat us up there, from my point of view, it seemed like he had a lot of friendly calls from behind the plate. Like ball. He was getting some Greg Maddux type balls off the plate on either
Mm.
side. So if he gets that on top of the stuff he has, he's hard to beat. I don't know if he'll throw, or seems like the Cord Rager guy that has been throwing a
Correct.
lot, and the younger brother Xander seems like
Xander.
he looked better to me than the other guy who's so highly touted.
Mhm.
Um, Offensively, they've started hitting more home runs, but we're pretty close on home runs for a season. A lot of theirs, when we played them there, were helped by the wind. Um, and then there was a lot that didn't go out because the wind shifted and was coming the other way. So it's a mess playing in Oklahoma. It's so windy there all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
And Schwab or Omaha, Charles Schwab can be a windy place too. I mean, right? It definitely can factor in there.
I would imagine so. Because, I mean, same kind of terrain or lack
Mhm.
thereof terrain.
Right. Yeah. Some thoughts on the just college baseball in general. The postseason. I mean, we're kind of still living in the moment, and obviously this is a big deal for us, and we're all thrilled with what happened and looking forward to for the coming weekend. But it really, and we kind of live in this, right? So we consume a lot of the media and the buzz, but. Drew, you feel like college baseball is really, I mean, it's never going to be college football, and it doesn't have to be, and it's never going to be college basketball for that matter. Do you feel like it's kind of vaulted in as far as national recognition, or always going to be a little more regional just based on where the teams are located? But you feel like the postseason and the way this postseason is played out with some of these stories has been something maybe they can vault some of these programs and vault the profile of the
Yeah,
sport a little bit.
I hope so. I mean, I think we kind of talk about this of the last 20 years or so, but it's
Mhm.
got a lot. We've got our diehards like us and
Mhm.
the hundreds of thousands of people who listen to this. But
Exactly.
I don't think ESPN does it. I mean, I know they televise everything, but I don't like their start times for a lot of
Mhm.
these late night start times, and feels like they've really crammed the College World Series together when they're stretching out the Women's College World Series, and they can just
Mhm.
run one pitcher every game. Um, just it feels like if they were playing the championship series on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday instead of Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. That's kind of
Yeah, the
a
Sunday
drag,
afternoon
I
was
think.
always weird to me. Why they did
Yeah,
that? I
I don't
guess.
know. I guess because they want to get on ABC, but I mean, on a Sunday afternoon, who's really watching
Yeah.
much TV at all? So I don't like that. But yeah, I mean, I hope the ratings are great. I hope they're better than the softball World Series because but those are really good as well. I mean, when I say
Yeah,
better,
yeah,
I say better than the Texas and Texas Tech games, not our games. But
right,
yeah,
right.
I mean, I love college baseball. I have for the last 35 years, and just happy to be there this weekend for the
Yeah,
first couple games.
yeah. Roger, thoughts on that? I mean, is you know a lot of these we see a lot of scouts and a lot of the national media folks, and we've had some of them on our podcast. They do a great job of covering this, but you don't get an hour of them talking about it on First Take on ESPN during
No,
the day. I
no,
mean, you're competing with NBA finals. You're never gonna get out. There's a lot of noise in the sports world, but
yeah.
these games and the way the drama of some of these finishes, a story like a Troy going to uh, Omaha, good for the sport.
I think so. It seems, I mean, and again, you kind of pointed out, like, is it because we're so involved right now and we actually
Mhm.
were going? Is that just because I'm excited because Alabama's finally returning to the World Series and looks like they're going to be a contender, to always be in regional and hopefully super regional play for a while. But it seems like I have seen, and maybe I'm just looking more, but seems like I have seen more highlights and like they're kind of playing it up a lot more. And hopefully that will continue. Like Drew, some of the start times are kind of screwy. And then between, I don't know that, we talked about and griped about the way the NCAA did some of our start and stop times over the last two weekends. Um, but I imagine ESPN had some say on that as well. It's not left in our staff's hands, but I choose to really blame the NCAA just because they typically screw up everything they touch. So that moving a game from 2 to 3 and put you in a 6 hour rain delay and have to come back the next day, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hit a couple of things. I'm going to rapid fire these to you guys for superlatives. Give me your best story of the postseason so far, Drew.
For us or in general?
Just any, yeah. No, don't. You're talking global here, general.
Oh, okay. I would say Troy making it to the College World Series, and I had a little bit of. I've mentioned this before. I was a sports journo back in the day. Graduated. I was a sports editor of the Crimson White. And graduated in '04. So one of my first big boy job moving out of Tuscaloosa was covering Troy for the Dothan Eagle, 2005 to 2012. So still know a lot of those people there. Every year it does seem like there's this one team. How did they get there? And I think that would be Troy right now. That's just the first thing that comes to my mind. If I thought about it a little more when Roger's talking, I might have something else. But it's always the underdog who is able to push its way through. The way they did it, winning 2 games, they lost their first one in Florida, and then they stormed through the losers bracket and beat Florida twice on its home field. One of those games, Liam Peterson was throwing.
Yeah, and as we've said before, yeah, I think we were talking about it after we got beat by Troy in the midweek. It wasn't like a vintage Troy team. It's not
Mm.
by far not Skylar's best team down there, or the team that should have gone to Omaha. So yeah, to me that's a great story. Roger, give me your best story, aside from Troy, maybe.
Well, one thing from that Troy is the Enterprise Junior College kid that had like four home runs all season, and he's hit like six in the playoffs once he started to get to playing time. And it was like every time he came up, you knew he was going to hit a home run that last series. Next best thing is Take Me Home Country Roads. I get West Virginia. That whole, I mean, it's nuts. I mean, we had fantastic atmosphere, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But what they had going on up there was just crazy. Of course, McAfee in the middle of all of it kind of helps give them some more national exposure. But that was pretty wild seeing that.
Yeah,
Um,
chugging a beer with Rich Rod in the first row. He's actually going to do a show from Omaha. He said today.
yes,
Yeah, that was a really cool moment. I mean, and I think just and apparently they do that. I don't know. They do it every game or what, or maybe they do it on the third game of the series or after every win or whatever. But they, so it's not uncommon for them to do. I just don't think you get the same
Wouldn't see it.
emotion and all. We know we beat Baylor on a Saturday. It's just probably not the same. No, they've been a great story and a damn good team, by the way. They've been in the supers a couple of times. We don't see much of them, obviously, but they've been right there on the verge and finally knocked the door down. But real cool for them. When you think about West Virginia, and it's a state of 1.5 million people, maybe a million, maybe 2 million. I mean, Alabama's 4.5, 5. I mean, it's a small state. You look at where all those guys are from. A lot of them are from there, from down the Northeast and areas around there. It's kind of a cool scene. Favorite moment of the postseason, whether it be Drew, the fans at West Virginia or a big home run. It could be one of ours. Give me one of ours and give me
Uh,
some.
Obviously, this was not the game-winning home run, but the Eric Hines home run against Oklahoma State when we thought we were just dead in the water still. I
Hmm.
described it last week as sound like you're silent and someone bangs on your bedroom window.
Yeah,
So the way that
in the
that
rain.
just energized him, energized. Well, the one the night
Oh,
before in the rain was a lot of
in the
fun
rain.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm talking about the one against Oklahoma State.
yeah. Hmm.
But man, so I kind of I know good and well I kind of want to deviate a little bit from those two game-winning home runs. Favorite moment in the rest of them, gosh, I always like seeing one or two Giants well, I tell you what my favorite moment was when Will Furnace hit that home run against Auburn in game two in the top of the or bottom of the eighth inning like that. And then the next guy hit the home run. So that was my favorite moment of the postseason.
Okay.
Getting toward that. Brady's home run. Brady popping his thumb back in place, throwing that a
Yeah.
runner, and then coming out and hitting a 3-run home run to win the game, basically
Hmm.
win the game. But then Banks going long and just letting them hang and just keep going and keep going and tying and winning runs on base over and over and then just blowing them away with his fastball,
Hmm.
which
Yep. Yeah. Fifth year senior, coming back from an arm injury, 2 years out from that now. Stayed here through it all, through the coaching change and all the BS. Yeah, just a great moment. I think my best story probably might have been Little Rock trying to the way that Jacksonville regional shaped up. You start getting down the pecking order, or the regional Jacksonville was in. That was like, well, I think Jacksonville's going to make it through this thing now. And Little Rock's right there. Favorite moment for me, aside from the Alabama ones, I think probably and aside from the Auburn one, is that absolute bomb, like you said in the Oklahoma game that beat Georgia Tech, walked them off on their own field. I mean, the ball was just lost. Um, Give me a big disappointment. Who would you call the biggest disappointment of the postseason? Drew?
UCLA.
Oh, you okay? Yep, you go ahead.
Yeah, I'd go uh yeah, it's hard to say UCLA and Georgia Tech or not because of I think Georgia Tech probably had the best chance, and they lost two to Oklahoma when they had, I think, 5-run leads in both of those
Mm-hmm.
games. So several host teams, but I think I'm going to go with UCLA because of the way. I'm sorry, Georgia Tech with the way they
Mm-hmm.
got beat. When I mean, UCLA lost that first game, first team one seed to ever lose its opening game, but Georgia Tech they had it right there. UCLA had a lot
Uh,
to fight back from, but Georgia Tech had it right there.
uh, yeah, Roger, you called UCLA. Give me elaborate on it.
Um, didn't really see any of it. Like just
Mm-hmm.
like we were at our game, and we would hear, "Hey, UCLA's down," and thought they had lost the second game, or before or earlier, and then they hit two home runs in the bottom of the ninth to come back and win a game, and then but then for them to be the number one overall seed and number one all season and supposed to be this big powerhouse, and we knew and said all along they never played anybody. I mean, they had a very, very weak schedule, and playing in the Big Ten doesn't really get you ready for postseason.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but then Georgia, I can agree with Georgia Tech as well because just the way that happened with losing big leads twice against the 11th place team in the SEC.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest upset. I mean, just pick a game, random game. Biggest upset. Go ahead, Drew.
Oh, Roger said something. We didn't hear him.
Oh, sorry, you got it, Roger.
Over Auburn, game one.
Oh
No,
yeah, yeah, Milwaukee over Auburn. You said yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to. I'd go St. Mary's over you. Was it St. Mary's? They lost to
yeah, St.
UCLA,
Mary's.
and then they
Mhm.
beat them again. So St. Mary's beat UCLA twice, and they didn't even win the regionals. Cal Poly who
Yeah,
won that regional.
yeah. I
I
think
would
you
say
know.
what Roger said, but I wanted to go different since he said
Yeah,
that. But that was fun
you
when
know
we followed that.
when you look back in retrospect now on the Milwaukee, the significance of that series. Milwaukee won that game. Then you're like, well, Auburn can come back and beat all these teams probably. I mean, some UCF might give them a game, but Auburn had enough pitching. Butch had managed that very well with with his starter not getting through the not getting out of the second inning and knowing, hey, I might bring this guy back Monday. Um, so they managed, even though Milwaukee won, you knew Auburn didn't have this thing yet. But Auburn
Mhm.
had to go 5 games and then turn right around and play Ole Miss, who's got three guys that are just going to shove at you, and was playing pretty damn well. So Milwaukee didn't finish the job, but they might have finished the the job,
Thing.
help finish it for someone else. And so, but yeah, that St. Mary's win was pretty massive. The other upset I'd probably throw out there, if you want to call it an upset, is just that the Nebraska got really hyped as a big deal, and it just flamed out. Kansas, well, it wasn't necessarily an upset, or maybe more of a disappointment. Is just what Kansas had happened to them this with Oklahoma. Just again, teams that got kind of hyped up just because, hey, it's the Big Ten, and we really want to see the Big Ten do well. We really want to see someone from the Big 12 do well. And then we get right down to it, it's like the SEC's got 5 of the 8 teams there, and as you said, our 13th place team is beating these teams that they're giving national seeds. So I think just the way those guys kind of flop. Give me a sleeper in your opinion in the field of 8, Drew.
I'll go Ole Miss. I've always
Mhm.
thought they were kind of built for the postseason, and I don't even know if they might even be the favorite in that game against West Virginia. I'm not totally sure, but they're the kind of the team that no, they play North Carolina. They're playing North
Yeah,
Carolina.
yeah. We'll
Yeah, I'm
find
gonna
out
go.
quickly with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Ole Miss.
Okay, Roger. Who's your sleeper?
The Tide. If not Alabama, North Carolina.
Mhm.
No real
Okay.
reason. Just
Yeah.
just something different. I think it'll be an SEC team that wins. So
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, if you're gonna pick SEC or the field, Drew, you get SEC or the field.
Yeah, I'm gonna go SEC.
Mhm.
I should pick Alabama, but I think Georgia's got the best chance to win it right now.
Yeah, yeah. I think if I had to pick a sleeper, I'd go with you. Ole Miss, to me, Ole Miss is built for this, and it's because Elliott, Rabe, Townsend, right? Elliott from the left, Rabe and Townsend for the. I mean, a little bit like us. I mean, Faye Adams up church. I mean,
and they have such a weaker bracket,
yes.
from the eyeball test anyway.
Mhm,
I mean, they don't have four SEC. They're the only SEC team on that side,
mhm.
so
Yeah.
that might give them a leg up. I mean, like Georgia or Texas, probably the two best teams in the league over, just talent wise, and they're gonna kill each other off. So
Yeah. All right. And all right. So give me this. This you got to get on record, and we can start here, and we can update this if we get the championship series. Who comes from the left side? Who comes from the right side to get to the finals? Drew.
I'm gonna go with a finals of Georgia versus Ole Miss.
Okay. Roger.
Alabama versus Ole Miss.
Alabama, Ole Miss. All right. Awesome. Because we already won 2 out of 3 there. Um, let me, if I had to look at it, I like I said, even though they're kind of a sleeper to me, just the fact they're in that left side and with all that pitching, I definitely like Ole Miss coming out of that side. I like Texas's pitching too much. I love to pick the Tide here. I gotta go Texas. I just saw a strikeout, 49, 50 times against
Mm.
against that
I
side.
mean, if I had to, I would pick Georgia if I was picking somebody other than Alabama.
Yeah. All right. So all right. All the players, parents, fans watching. Rogers got Alabama getting to the final. Drew and I don't. So there you go. That all your ridicule. Don't direct it. Directed us individually because that's kind of where we are. A few other things tonight. Yeah, first of all, the schedule. The We're gonna be the first game of the day Saturday. We're the 2 o'clock game. It's 2 o'clock Central on Saturday against Oklahoma, and then Georgia, Texas follow us probably what 7. The Troy West Virginia game. Looks to me like it's 1 on Friday. I think it's 2 Eastern, so it's 1 on Friday, and then UNC Ole Miss will be the nightcap on Friday night. So the UNC Ole Miss and the Georgia Texas games get the primetime billing. Probably understandable. I mean the way they're set up. And then like you guys mentioned, the winners and losers Friday play Sunday. The winners and losers Saturday play Monday, and then it kind of rolls from there. Um, Back to Alabama. Back to Alabama. 27 years in the waiting for this. The disappointment and heartbreak of 2006. You got there, you got close a couple other times. You go to the supers or you go to regionals and have some heartbreaking and some disappointing years, and then you just had some really really down years and kind of 5 or 10 years in the wilderness there leading up to this. Roger, starting you, what's it mean to be back at the pinnacle of college baseball after all these years?
It's very surreal. Still hard to believe. It was very emotional, almost kind of moment when all that happened. Particularly, things like Tyler and Zane coming off the mound for the last time, LeBron's last at bat at the Joe. Um, so and we're so invested in all these young men and their families and the coaches. So, it's emotion. You want people you like and admire to do well, and it's just amazing. It's just we've all seen teams, Alabama teams that have more talent than this one that have not made it. That had 4 and 5, 6 big leaguers on it, and couldn't get out of the regional or super regional. So it's special, and it doesn't obviously it doesn't happen often, but hopefully it's going to start happening more often. At least having the shot at it. So it's just I think all of us kind of missed it up a little bit,
Mhm.
late on Sunday night, and then unfortunately had to, I mean, it was nice coming back. The Monday was nice getting those last 6 outs and the celebration and all. But I think it would have been so much more special if 7,000 people could have still been there to cheer them on.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you think the Rangers would have stormed the field? Probably.
Probably. Probably. So yeah, we had a Ranger injury on the which night? I guess it was the end after that game of Brady's home run. Brian Banks is rolling around on a scooter with a boot on the field on Monday,
This is Hagen Banks' dad, by the way.
and I said,
Oh,
"What?" He said, "When I jumped up on the wall and then back off of the wall, I heard it." Like,
oh no.
so anyway,
Hmm.
he was having a good time with the Rangers and the players and stuff, and he fortunately not his son or any other player sustained an
Yeah,
injury.
that's right. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
when I looked up and Coleman Mizell, 3 weeks out of back surgery, is jumping on the top of the pile. But he said he waited till everybody had jumped before he.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Drew, what's it mean to you? I mean, 27 years. I mean, this is
Yeah,
most of your life. You're a young guy, right? It's most of your life, right?
right. So I guess I started following Bama baseball in '92-ish. That was
Mhm.
the year that got to meet Robbie Glenn this year, get to know him a little bit. He was a first baseman. I think he's a first baseman on that team. May have played outfield. I
he,
can't.
he was first base.
Yeah, that's right. And so They were not that they had won. They had gone to a regional the year before. They weren't very good that year, but it was just a lot of fun going to games. And then next thing you know, Jim Wells is getting them to Omaha 3 times in 4 years and regional finals those two couple other years. And thought we really had a chance to get there when I was working for the Crimson White as a sophomore in 2002, and that didn't work out. Uh, so every year's kind of been the year. I was kind of detached from the team for a little bit when I was a neutral sports writer. Got to cover the whole year in Hoover. That's where I first got to know Roger a good bit. So yeah, it's been fun, but it's also been fun for me. Thanks to you guys with your hooking me up with the home plate clubs tickets. It's very much appreciated. But that's how I got to know people like Brian and Tiffany Faye and Zane, Derek and Amanda Adams, and other parents too. So it's been special sitting close to them when their kids are doing well. So yeah, it's incredible. I think Omaha's been a bucket list trip for me, so I just decided
Mhm.
gonna empty out the Southwest and the Hilton Points and
And go.
and
Yeah.
go. And so my wife is going with me Friday. She's flying back Sunday, and I'm staying until Tuesday. So I'll get a chance to
Mhm.
see us play twice and
Mhm.
hopefully see another game or two, and then hopefully meet some other Bama fans. We should do
Mhm.
this. Shout outs real quick. So I met a lady
Yeah.
named
Yeah.
Colleen at North River Baptist or North River
Yeah.
Church.
Mhm.
She
On Sunday.
recognized me. Yeah, she's been a fan of the podcast for
Clayton
more than a couple
Duncan.
years.
Duncan.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
She hangs the K's, the strikeout K's down the wall down in first base. And then I think Roger, you may want to shout out another
That's your buddy.
listener.
Yes, our little buddy Hammond Umber was very anxious to find out when we were going to be recording our weekly Joe. He called his dad at work, his dad David's a big time lawyer at a big firm in Birmingham. So I'm sure he had time to answer calls about the Joe
Mhm.
podcast. But uh, Hammond's my little buddy, and
Yeah.
he's he lives a charmed life.
Uh,
He's gotten to do a lot of cool things, and
yeah.
he's a sports fanatic. And I
Mhm.
appreciate that he was wanting to know when the Weekly Joe was coming out so that he could listen.
Yeah, he's a good little baseball player too. I think he's probably about 11 years old. If he called, I know David. If he called David at work, he's probably gonna get a bill for about $600 for a 15-minute call.
Exactly, exactly.
uh, a few others. You surprised we're here, Drew? You
Oh,
surprised?
absolutely. I mean, if you listen to my takes throughout the year, I mean, we lost to Washington State the first game of the season, and we didn't know that was actually a pretty decent team. They made a
Hmm.
regional, pretty good
Yeah,
team
they were still.
actually. So there was about 4 or 5 games. This year we didn't. Last year, with a few teams really took us belt to ass a lot more. That didn't really happen this year. A couple
No,
times,
really
but
didn't.
that really developed later in games. I think it was all the errors this year in some of these games
Hmm.
that we thought. So I think the fact that some of these games made me think we'd never win another game all season, and then just watching the improvements, it's like the double play combination looks so much
Yeah,
smoother than
looks
it
so
did.
much better.
You
Yeah.
know, Torres with the big hit, and I compared him a little bit with some buddies to his career's kind of arc's kind of been like Jaron Stevenson basketball, as you probably
Basketball.
thought you would have gotten a lot more out of him over the course of 2 years. But everybody's going to remember this grand slam, like everybody remembers Jaron Stevenson's 5 threes to get us to the Final Four against Clemson. So
Exactly. Yeah.
it's
In
been
a big
great,
time.
man.
Yep.
The Tyler Fay no hitter, especially after we lost 4 in a row. I was like, all right, if we go 10-20 in the SEC, but we got that Tyler Fay no hitter to remember, then it's been great. So really happy to see those guys get a chance. The world gets to see Justin LeBron in Omaha, but also guys
Mhm.
who've been with the program, Fay, Heiberger, Zane
Yeah.
Adams, a few more as
Paid a
well.
lot of dues. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Roger, obviously we're all a little surprised we're here sooner than expected. And I mean, your thought?
Yes, yes. I mean, we know we were going to be good enough to be a regional team and hopefully host, and then to end up getting a super as well and making it all the way. It's probably ahead of schedule, maybe not ahead of Rob's schedule. Maybe he was on the Nick Saban plan of the third year. But here we are, and we're going to enjoy it and hopefully make some noise and take the whole thing. But
Yeah.
just make a good showing. And like you guys said earlier, it's anything from this point on really is gravy. Obviously, we want to win, and that's all you really should. But just the fact that we made it and we're one of 8 teams still playing baseball right now is
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. I'll say this too. I mean, and I've said this in another venue earlier this week. And then I got a couple of questions and a couple of things to say before we wrap. You know, the exactly what you said. There's 300 some teams in college baseball. You know, when you get right down to it, you know, they're the quote power four, in the Sun Belt and some of these that are really good conferences. I mean, you know, there's 50 really good, 40, 50 maybe really good teams, maybe not even that many, 30. But being one of the 8 still going here, this is the 2 week period where eyes in the country are focused on college baseball more so than they would be. You know, if you aired a random college baseball game, even an SEC game on ESPN at 7 o'clock on Friday night this week, you might draw 500,000 eyes just because of their fan bases. You know, you're going to draw significantly more than that this weekend. You get full promotion of it. They're going to cross promote it. You're getting all the traffic on the internet. Um, all it can do for your program is increase the profile of it. You look at look at the Murray State thing last year, what they said about it. You know, it's kind of like when we were going through the whole Saban era of football and or either when Coastal won this thing back in 20, was it 16 that they won it?
16.
Yeah, you know, they were like, you know, applications to this place went through the roof. You know, people knew where you were, it put you on the map. Alabama's on the map for other reasons, obviously. But for baseball, it puts you on the map with all these guys that, you know, 5,000 of these guys that have announced they're transferring. It puts you on it for high school prospects, for high school coaches, and things like that. The other thing it's going to do, and I think this is a good thing, it's going to increase the profile of Rob Vaughn significantly, because I think the whole country is going to get, you know, whether it's that in-game interview, that post-game press conference, highlights on Sports Center, people are going to see what he's all about and realize what a great hire this was by Greg Byrne 3 years ago. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, you know, does that mean someone's more likely to come pluck him away from us one day? Yeah, maybe. But you know, you're with success, you get that. If you want to keep him, you'll take care of him and you'll keep him. Ultimately, what you want to do is end up with your program, or be investing in your program enough, doing the things year after year to grow your program, to grow the profile of your program, where, you know, you secure a guy like that, and then you're like Texas with Schlossnagle. No one can outbid you, you know, or if they do, it's just money at that point, and you've got all the other intangibles around them that they don't want to leave, right? It's that kind of place. Hopefully you get to that point, because maybe you don't have the, you know, the money that you can just throw it around willy-nilly. But I think, you know, hopefully Byrne sees that. I know he does, and realizes, you know, what a major hill this was to climb to get back after 27 years, and why the guy who's at the head of this is so important to you here. So you know, great job by him, great job by the staff, and I mean really the whole organization around these guys to get them here. It really feels like it's kind of one. Roger, you're around a lot more, but I mean, it's one heartbeat with that program. It's all driven from the top, and it seems like everyone kind of sings from the same hymnal, and that's why you get to this point, right?
I mean, you know, the Franchione pulled the rope, whatever. But you know, like you said, one voice. That's Coach Saban went in and like got rid of all the outside noise, and it's like, you know, we have one voice here, and that's me, and that's you know, Rob's obviously not Coach Saban, or not personality wise or results wise yet, but I mean he's more probably a little more diplomatic with you know, getting input from others, but it comes from him. You know, the final word comes from him, comes from the top, and you know, Greg Byrne did make a great hire. He picked out his guy and stuck with it and went and got him, and you know, it's paying dividends. Hopefully, will continue. And like you said, just being there is going to raise the profile. Not the university doesn't need the profile rate, you know, raising the profile, but the baseball program does. Probably should bring in more donations, bring in more fans, sell more season tickets, you know, merchandise, the whole 9 yards. You know, it's gonna he can't do anything but help. Eyes of recruits, they see you there, they see what see the kids are having fun, they seem like each other, like their coaches, and make becomes a place where they want to play. So I think we should see some benefits from all that.
Mhm. Yeah, and a good group of guys too. I mean, that's the other thing. It's a good group of guys. They're not problems. They and that helps. It's an easy team to like. I mean, I always kid about I love this team and I don't like them. I don't like the way they're playing when they're making 6 errors on a given night. But just the personalities and the way they carry themselves is really great. And I'll say this too, because you're here, and I saw a lot of guys throwing out tributes and saying similar. This probably doesn't mean more to anyone than it does to Roger. Nobody does more. Probably nobody's been through more or put more into this program than Roger. Even the players, because they're there for practice every day. He's there for practice every day, every year. These guys. so,
They,
so
yeah,
he's there.
they,
And I can tell you this: every game for Roger is not just let me grab my things and go and hang out at the stadium and enjoy. Roger's taking care of people. I mean, it's he's thinking of others. He wants people to be there to enjoy the game. He's always looking out for others. I started going back to the game. I mean, again, when you raise 4 kids and they're 6 years apart and you got their things going on, it was really hard to get over to Tuscaloosa for 3 weekend baseball games in the middle of April when your own kids are doing 1,000 other things. When I kind of got a little closer to and now into empty nest years, and started going back and then got tickets down by Roger down there. I mean, I really saw like this is how you do Alabama baseball. You make sure everyone gets exposed to it. You do what you can to get more people there, and that's kind of why we started this. Is it just we love the program and want to talk more about it, but no one has done more for that program and does more day to day for the program, the people around it, the players, their families, and all that than you, and you deserve
well,
all this.
well, thank you. Thanks for the kind words. That's fine. So I mean,
Yeah.
and I enjoy it obviously, and care about it, and care about all the people that are around us, and the players and the coaches and the families. So it's a big part of my life. So thank you. Thanks for all
Yeah.
those kind words.
Yeah. 2 questions, then we'll call it a night, and we'll let you guys get on to Omaha. This is from Alabama Pro Updates, whose handle I think is now at Bama Pro Backup because the cowards got his original account. This might require some Ragers research, but what happens to the balls that Rob Vaughn uses to send messages? Who gets to take them home? I had no idea. So let me say what I did. I inquired of our fellow Ragers who have appeared on this podcast twice at least now. And here's what I got from Hayes Flowers. Generally, whoever catches the ball takes it home. So what happens is it's usually one ball, one message. Payne Steele or whoever's in right goes out, throws it up in the crowd, and whoever catches it gets to take it home. But he says we generally pass it around to give folks the chance to read what was written on it once we get it. So that's kind of cool. So every probably spread around. I don't know if the same person is getting those or not. I did see several pictures from the kind of the post game impromptu party at Innisfree after the win on Monday. Some of the fat heads that you saw, the big pictures of the players and the coaches. That the Rob Vaughn one was up on a somewhere on the wall in Innisfree, and it's going to be a permanent fixture up there somewhere up high. So I thought that was really cool. And then I had one other, and let me see if I can find it real quick. Give me a second. I get these in about 3 or 4 different places. And this is in regards to just the athletic department in general. Somebody said just speak to the guidance and the masterful execution of Greg Byrne in kind of helping to orchestrate this. Roger, thoughts on Byrne and the role of the athletic department in seeing this come to a head?
Just well, Greg is he's a baseball guy. I mean, he's obviously an all sports guy. I mean, he cares about all of them, but he oversaw a national championship at Arizona as athletic director, and I think I think he grew up being a baseball guy, as well as basketball. But he, does his due diligence and goes and finds Rob when, a young coach that had got a head job at 29 and was probably starting to poke up on some people's radar, but he wasn't on. I don't know if at that point he was on Kendall's top list every time a job came open like he is now. Um, but just had the vision of he just he went and he told me once that when he goes and looks for a coach, he like just shows up at the school and goes and watches a game and watches them coach as incognito as a 6'6" guy can be. Not maybe a hat and sunglasses or whatever. Just not announce that he's there, not have Alabama stuff on or anything like that. Just he wants to see how they interact with their players, with the fans, with the media, how they handle a game day situation, and that was big to him. And he he made a wise choice in this case for sure.
Yeah. Your thoughts on the just the athletic department in general and the job they did putting this whole weekend or two together and
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I kind of basically my whole thoughts are as long as Greg Byrne is here, I don't think we're going to lose Oates Vaughn or Kalen DeBoer unless it's like to the NBA or to the NFL or something like that. I don't know. MLB is kind of a weird jump for a college coach, as we're seeing with Tony Vitello, but I think we're in good hands with Mr. Byrne, and look forward to seeing how he continue to develop. But if we do lose someone, I feel like he's going to go out and get the best one we can get. So it hasn't been perfect. I mean, we did not end well with Brad Bohannon, who he hired, but that was a great. I thought it was a very good hire on the surface. So no one's perfect, but I think we're with Oates and Coach Vaughn, and you know say what you want about DeBoer following Saban. I think we're going to get there with him. I don't know when or how or what, but I think
But
feel okay
different
about that. Different landscape for sure. That's what I love about college baseball is that there's not a $20 million. At least I don't think there's a $20 million roster out there where
Hmm.
anybody can kind of get some gritty, tough guys and go out there and win.
Let me say something else about Greg that is today too. Yesterday, early morning, everybody shows up early morning for the games. He's walking through the stands handing out boxes of donuts
Yeah.
Hmm.
to the fans that showed up, and he does a lot of that kind of thing. He's very interactive with fans and not just ones that are in premium seatings. Like away football games, he's up in the stands or just anywhere. He's very interactive with the fans.
Hmm. Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
that
Very always. I mean, there if he's not at our game, he's ever at softball. He was up in Oklahoma City, and he was back. He just yeah, definitely engaged and seemingly has a really good team around him. The last thing I'll say, it's maybe a little disadvantage. You're still playing, but you take it. The portal's open. I can't imagine the coaches are doing anything tonight, but probably on Zoom calls with portal players or whatever. But in the meantime, we did get a commitment, perhaps signing. I don't know, 2026 right-handed pitcher, Jack. I think say Rostock,
that's
Rostock,
what it looked like to
Rostock,
me.
Rostock.
Yeah.
Yeah, a big right-hander who was a previous committed to NC State. Their coach, is retiring. Is coming to Alabama. So big, another big right-hander could be drafted. And I mean, just like anyone out of high school at this point. Got our first portal commitment. A kid out of DBU is going to be a senior middle infielder. You'll see dozens of others of these. You've seen a lot of obviously with the hiring of Schnall at South Carolina. Half the remaining Coastal Carolina team is in the portal. A bunch of them are going to go with him to South Carolina. You'll see a lot of that going on. So a lot of baseball news will happen over the next 2 weeks as we're still playing, and other teams are structuring their roster and we are for the coming year. So I don't know,
We
best time of the year for for college baseball, perhaps.
right. We've had visitors over the two, uh, the regional and the super. I know that's kind of hard. The coaches hard on the coaches to like handle everything they're trying to do and trying to win and go forward. Much like Coach Saban complaining about the playing in the championship game cost him 2 weeks worth of recruiting.
Hmm.
So you just got to kind of do both. I know I've talked to some coaches that have been in the playoffs too, and it's like they're trying to do double duty. Like our buddy, who I'm talking about, our guy that's still in the SEC that's still alive in the World Series too, trying to recruit for his team and get his help coach the guys that are going to play in Omaha.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, well, folks, that was great. I think we covered a lot. I think we covered it all. Hopefully, we prepped you all, our listeners, for the upcoming week that is a big week for Alabama. Another big week. They're all big this time of year. Alabama's first trip back to Omaha since 1999. Again, first game Saturday, 2 p.m. Central. We'll take on the Oklahoma Sooners. It's like an SEC family reunion on Sunday. You got that game, and then you got Georgia, Texas to follow. Win or lose, we play Monday and follow up. If you're the loser, you play the early game. I think if you're the winner, you play the late game, and then just ride it out from there. It's been a fun ride. Hopefully this time next week we're still talking about a team that's active or that's made a little noise in Omaha. Either way, we'll talk about it because we're the Weekly Joe. We're the best and longest running podcast dedicated to Alabama baseball and Alabama baseball only. And we've been here and running for 3 years. Plan to be here for at least 3 more. So roll tide, everybody. For Roger Myers, for Drew Champlin, I'm Paul Graham. Take it away, Peter Slide in Campland with the Joe. We're done at the Joe this year, but hey, we'll be back next year. We're going to finish this one up in Omaha. So roll tide, everybody. Let's go win this thing.
See y'all in Omaha.
Swing it, boys, swing for the fence. Shove it, boys, shove it, boys, make 'em miss. Some big league chew and a baseball souvenir. Come on, sing with me now. The Joe is home, sweet home. It's roll, tide, roll. The Joe is home, that's right. Home, sweet home. Hey, look, is that Roll Tide Willie over there? Well, it's Bama Blitz.